Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Prashant Kumar Sinha, and with me is Nishit Kumar, bringing glimpses of major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment, and more. As the world fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin the program with a message of caution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps: wear a face mask, maintain social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. The headlines: world's largest COVID-19 vaccination rolled out in India by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Russia to restart flights between Moscow and New Delhi from January 27th. Armin Laschet elected as the new chairman of Germany's ruling Christian Democratic Party. 51st edition of International Film Festival of India begins in Goa. India and Bangladesh to jointly produce a movie, Bangabandhu. And in cricket, India was 62 for 2 at stumps on the second day of the fourth test against Australia in Brisbane. The world's largest vaccination drive against COVID-19 was launched in India by Prime Minister Narendra Modi through video conferencing. In his address, Mr. Modi said India's COVID-19 vaccination campaign is based on very humane principles and those exposed to maximum risk get priority.
ऐसी ही उपलब्धियों के लिए राष्ट्रकवि रामधारी सिंह दिनकर जी ने कहा था, मानव जब जोर लगाता है पत्थर पानी बन जाता है। भारत का टीकाकरण अभियान बहुत ही मानवीय और महत्वपूर्ण सिद्धांतों पर आधारित है। जिसे सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी है उसे सबसे पहले कोरोना का टीका लगेगा। जिसे कोरोना संक्रमण का रिस्क सबसे ज्यादा है उसे पहले टीका लगेगा। जो हमारे डॉक्टर्स हैं, नर्सेज हैं, अस्पताल में सफाई कर्मी हैं, मेडिकल पैरामेडिकल स्टाफ हैं, वो कोरोना की वैक्सीन के सबसे पहले हकदार हैं। चाहे वो सरकारी अस्पताल में हो या फिर प्राइवेट में, सभी को ये वैक्सीन प्राथमिकता पर लगेगी।
The Prime Minister underlined the importance of the largest ever vaccination campaign and said all details will be taken care by the CoWIN app.
कोविन डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म में टीकाकरण के लिए रजिस्ट्रेशन से लेकर ट्रैकिंग तक की व्यवस्था है। आपको पहला टीका लगने के बाद दूसरी डोज कब लगेगी, इसकी जानकारी भी आपके फोन पर दी जाएगी। और मैं सभी देशवासियों को ये बात फिर याद दिलाना चाहता हूं कि कोरोना वैक्सीन की 2 डोज लगनी बहुत जरूरी है।
India is vaccinating 30 million people in the first phase and priority has been given to health workers and frontline workers. The Indian Prime Minister praised those scientists who had been involved in making the vaccine against corona since the past several months. The Prime Minister said Indian vaccines are much cheaper than foreign vaccines and equally good. The two Made in India vaccines have been granted approval on the basis of safety and efficacy. He urged people not to pay heed to rumors.
भारत के वैक्सीन वैज्ञानिक, हमारा मेडिकल सिस्टम भारत की प्रक्रिया की पूरे विश्व में बहुत विश्वसनीयता है और पहले से है। हमने ये विश्वास अपने ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड से हासिल किया है। मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों, हर हिंदुस्तानी इस बात का गर्व करेगा कि दुनिया भर के करीब 60% बच्चों को जो जीवन रक्षक टीके लगते हैं वो भारत में ही बनते हैं। भारत की सख्त वैज्ञानिक प्रक्रियाओं से ही होकर के गुजरते हैं। भारत के वैज्ञानिकों को और वैक्सीन से जुड़ी हमारी विशेषज्ञता पर दुनिया का ये विश्वास मेड इन इंडिया कोरोना वैक्सीन में और मजबूत होने वाला है।
The Prime Minister said India's fight against COVID-19 has been one of self-confidence and self-reliance. He got emotional while talking about the hardships faced by healthcare and frontline workers during the pandemic. Mr. Modi said that India has set the example in front of the world on how centre and state governments, local bodies, government and social institutions can work together for a better future. Later, at a press conference, India's Health Ministry said that more than 191,000 beneficiaries have been vaccinated on day one. Additional Health Secretary Dr. Manohar Agnani informed that 16,755 personnel were involved in organizing the immunization session sites. He said the exercise was conducted successfully across the country and not a single person had to be hospitalized after vaccination.
COVID-19 vaccination drive was successful during day one, which was today. A total of 3,351 sessions were held across the country. A total of 60,755 personnel were involved in organizing the immunization session sites. And I want to stress here that there was no case of post-vaccination hospitalization reported so far.
Dr. Manoj Chaudhary, Executive Director, National Health Mission of Assam, who received the jab today, said he is proud that he has taken the first vaccine today.
I am proud that I have taken the first vaccine today. Till now, I do not have any problem after taking the vaccine. It is like any other vaccine that we are taking in our past. So I'll appeal to the public to come forward and take vaccine as a step against the COVID-19. So this is one of the weapons by which we can protect ourselves, protect the society and protect the humanity.
Vaccination exercise is in full swing in various states of India. In the North Indian state of Uttar Pradesh, the vaccination drive has been smooth in all 75 districts. The vaccination started in time and no report of any untoward incident has been received from any place. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Health Minister of State Jai Pratap Singh said that after the launch of vaccination drive from Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the vaccination will start in the state at all 311 centers where 317 sessions of immunization will be held in the first phase. He said that all security arrangements are in place and every protocol will be followed during vaccination drive. Health Minister said that CCTV cameras have been installed at all 1298 cold chain points and the session of vaccination will also be put under CCTV surveillance. Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad informed that details of all persons who will be vaccinated today is online. In state capital Lucknow, 1200 persons will be vaccinated today at 12 centers. District Magistrate of Lucknow Abhishek Prasad said that whole drive will be monitored live at Control and Command Center. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
In the eastern Indian state of West Bengal, immunization drive has generated a lot of enthusiasm. 20,700 frontline warriors were vaccinated. More from our Kolkata correspondent.
Lots of enthusiasm have been observed among the people of West Bengal regarding the largest vaccination drive of the world. After the Prime Minister virtually inaugurated the drive today, the process of administering doses of Covishield was started across the state. Around 100 health workers, including doctors and nurses, have been given the dose from 207 centers. In Kolkata, along with 5 government medical colleges and hospitals and 5 urban primary health centers of the Kolkata Municipal Corporation, the drive is also being carried out from 5 private hospitals. Minister Firhad Hakim has visited SSK Medical College and Hospital in Kolkata to supervise the process. Madhuparna Dharsudhuri for AIR News, Kolkata.
Moving on to northeastern India, Sikkim joined the rest of the nation in launching the COVID-19 vaccination program on Saturday. Chief Minister P.S. Tamang and Health Minister Dr. M.K. Sharma were present at the STNM hospital near Gangtok during the launch. The vaccination drive simultaneously also began at District Hospital Gyalsing, West Sikkim. More from our Gangtok correspondent.
On the first day, 140 healthcare workers have been registered for inoculation at the 2 COVID-19 vaccination centers in Sikkim. Speaking after the launch, Chief Minister P.S. Tamang said that the vaccination program is a great example of Atmanirbhar Bharat envisioned by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, as both the vaccines are manufactured in India. He highlighted that the cost of Indian vaccines is significantly lower than those manufactured outside. Speaking to AIR News, Sikkim Health Minister Dr. M.K. Sharma hoped that the vaccines bring an end to the hardship faced by all due to the pandemic.
इतना कठिन था ये समय, अब आज एक जो अंधकार था उसमें हम लोग को एक सूरज दिखाई दिया इन द फॉर्म ऑफ वैक्सीन. विशेष करके मेड इन इंडिया जो वैक्सीन निकला, ये और भी हम लोग को गर्वान्वित बनाता है. और विश्व के अगर उसमें तुलना करते हैं तो ये जो वैक्सीन है, जो विश्व में जो एक वैक्सीन का दाम 5,000 रुपया के ऊपर एक डोज का पड़ रहा है, हमारे यहाँ पर बहुत चीप चीपली ये मिलेगा और बृहद रूप में भी हम तैयार करने के लिए हम प्रस्तुत हैं। कई राष्ट्रों के जो पॉपुलेशन भी 3 करोड़ नहीं है, तो आप सोच सकते हैं हम एक बहुत बड़ा विश्व को दिशा हम दिखा सकते हैं और ये भारत का क्रेडिबिलिटी बढ़ाने का ये सबसे अच्छा मौका है।
Sikkim has received 12,500 doses of Covishield vaccine in the first consignment for phase 1. With Saikat Sarkar, Parijat Sharma from Gangtok for AIR.
In the western Indian state of Maharashtra, the main vaccination drive was launched in COVID Care Center at Bandra Kurla Complex in Mumbai in the presence of Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray, Environment Minister Aditya Thackeray, BMC Commissioner Iqbal Singh Chahal and Mayor of Mumbai Kishore Pednekar. Dr. Madhura Patil became the first beneficiary to receive the COVID-19 preventive vaccine in this center, while former Health Minister of the state Dr. Deepak Sawant was the first beneficiary in Cooper Hospital. The vaccination drive began at various places in the state, including Jalna, where State Health Minister Rajesh Tope was present on the occasion. A report.
Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray said that the launching of COVID vaccine can be termed as the revolutionary step in the life of Mumbaikars and in the state. He thanked all the corona warriors who led this fight against the global pandemic. At the same time, he also reminded the people to continue the disciplined lifestyle with COVID-19 guidelines till the end of the pandemic. In Jalna, Health Minister Rajesh Tope launched the vaccination drive and expressed happiness over the smooth process of vaccination without any adverse events in the drive. The beneficiaries also expressed satisfaction and sense of security after receiving the first dose of the vaccine. The drive began in the presence of Water Resource Minister Jayant Patil in Islampur in Sangli district. Industry Minister Subhash Desai launched the drive in Aurangabad. PWD Minister Eknath Shinde was present in Solapur to launch the vaccination drive. Shailesh Patil, AR News, Mumbai.
The southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu also saw the launch of the vaccination drive. 166 centers across the state have begun the vaccination drive, and each center aims at ensuring 100 individuals receive the vaccine today. More from our correspondent.
The first person to receive the vaccine was the President of the Government Doctors Association, Dr. Sendil, later followed by other doctors, nurses, health workers and the other frontline workers who had pre-registered. Vaccination is done at 166 centers in the state today. Each center will vaccinate 100 persons per day. 5 health officials present in the center will handle the vaccination. A person receiving the first shot today will have to get the second shot after 28 days or 4 weeks, after which they have to be on guard for 42 days. In the first phase, 4,89,000 frontline workers will be administered the vaccine. 25,000 workers have been trained to administer the vaccine. Joy, AR News, Chennai.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has launched COVID-19 vaccination drive from the auditorium of the Government Medical College Jammu in the presence of the top brass of the Union Territory administration. AIR Jammu correspondent reports at least 4,000 health workers across the UT will receive vaccination today at 40 designated immunization sites.
As the fight against coronavirus gathers momentum with vaccinations in USA, UK, Israel and India, the number of COVID-19 cases has been a cause of concern. More than 2 million people have died globally due to coronavirus. According to the latest tally by the Johns Hopkins University, over 93 million people have been infected with the virus till now after the first reported fatality in China last January. The tragic milestone came just over a year after the first COVID-19 death was reported in Wuhan, China. Till now, the US has reported the maximum number of coronavirus cases and deaths. Meanwhile, 13 World Health Organization experts have arrived in Wuhan to investigate the origins of the novel coronavirus. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has denounced the heart-wrenching milestone of 2 million global deaths from COVID-19. He asserted that world's leading economies have a leading responsibility to make vaccine available to all the people. He also said that governments have a responsibility to protect their populations, but vaccine nationalism is self-defeating and will delay a global recovery.
The world's leading economies have a special responsibility. Yet today, we are seeing a vaccine vacuum. Vaccines are reaching high-income countries quickly, while the world's poorest have none at all. Science is succeeding, but solidarity is failing. Some countries are pursuing side deals, even procuring beyond needs. Governments have a responsibility to protect their populations, but vaccine nationalism is self-defeating and will delay a global recovery.
Amid debates and confusion about the effectiveness of a leading Chinese COVID-19 vaccine, China has been trying to push its vaccines to other countries. Reports about the efficacy of its leading Sinovac vaccine have been inconsistent. Experts say China has been too slow to publish trial data. China has administered more than 10 million vaccine doses at home. China started emergency use of its vaccine in July of last year. More from our Beijing correspondent.
With most countries likely to need more than one type of vaccine to meet demand, China has quickly started export of its vaccines. The exports come even as China battles its own flare-up in infections, which has put more than 28 million people in lockdown. Continuing its recent three-digit surge, the Chinese mainland on Friday reported 130 newly confirmed cases, of which 115 were locally transmitted. Of the locally transmitted cases, 90 were reported in Hebei, 23 in Heilongjiang, and 2 in Beijing. 79 new asymptomatic cases were also reported. Around 10 provinces are affected. Meanwhile, Hong Kong announced that it is likely to delay the distribution of mainland Chinese producer Sinovac's COVID-19 vaccine because of a lack of trial data, raising transparency concerns over a vaccine Beijing wants to sell throughout the developing world. Sinovac, whose efficacy rates for trials in Brazil were lowered to 50.4%, has been criticized for not releasing enough underlying data to explain varying results. However, experts say it can prevent deaths from the virus. Anshuman Mishra for World News, All India Radio, Beijing.
A World Health Organization WHO team in China is reviewing manufacturing practices for Sinovac's vaccine and those produced by Chinese state-owned Sinopharm. If the WHO lists the vaccines for emergency use, that would accelerate their global distribution. Greece kicked off COVID-19 vaccinations amongst the elderly on Saturday. The country had earlier inoculated tens of thousands of frontline workers to fight the spread of the coronavirus. More than 75,000 healthcare workers and nursing home residents and carers have received the shot of the vaccine produced by Pfizer-BioNTech since Greece rolled out the plan along with other EU countries last month.
Meanwhile, several EU countries are receiving significantly fewer doses of the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine than expected after the US firm slowed shipments. 6 nations called the situation unacceptable and warned it decreases the credibility of the vaccination process. Sweden, Denmark, Finland, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia urged the EU to apply pressure on Pfizer-BioNTech. Pfizer said the reduced deliveries were a temporary issue. The UK is to close all travel corridors from Monday morning to protect against the risk of yet unidentified new strains of COVID. Speaking at a Downing Street press conference, the Prime Minister Boris Johnson said it was vital to take extra measures now when day by day we are making such strides in protecting the population. The Prime Minister added that anyone flying into the country from overseas will have to show proof of a negative COVID test before setting off. Boris Johnson said the new rules would be in place till 15th February. A further 1,280 people with coronavirus have died in the UK within 28 days of a positive test, taking the total to 87,291.
Russian authorities said on Saturday that flights between Moscow and the capitals of India, Finland, Vietnam and Qatar would restart from the 27th of January. The flights have been suspended since the early weeks of the pandemic, and the authorities have said that the services would resume after certain epidemiological criteria were met. A statement from the Kremlin said that the 4 countries were seeing fewer than 40 new cases per fortnight per 100,000 people. The UK is to close all travel corridors from Monday morning to protect against the risk of an as yet unidentified new strain of COVID. Speaking at a Downing Street press conference, Prime Minister Boris Johnson said it was vital to take extra measures now when day by day we are making such strides in protecting the population.
This is All India Radio giving you the world news. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
3 steps to stay protected and stay safe from COVID-19. Wear face mask, 2 gaz ki duri to maintain social distancing, maintain hand and face hygiene.
Welcome back. The United States has reviewed and maintained the terrorist designations of Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba, LET, and Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, LJ, along with ISIL Sinai Peninsula, ISIL SP, and several other organizations. U.S. Department of State said that it has amended the terrorist designations of LJ and ISIL Sinai Peninsula to include additional aliases. LET, which carried out the 2008 Mumbai terror attack, was designated as a terrorist organization by the United States in December 2001. The State Department said LET has repeatedly changed its name and created front organizations in an effort to avoid sanctions. The Treasury Department earlier this month said that the U.S. blocked $342,000 in funds of LET in 2019 as part of its crackdown on foreign terror organizations. The U.S. has designated 7 entities and 2 individuals for allegedly flouting U.S. sanctions against the Islamic Republic of Iran shipping lines, RIISL. On Friday, the U.S. State Department had increased the scope of State Department-administered Iran metals-related sanctions. In a statement, Mike Pompeo justified the move, saying that Iran's nuclear, ballistic missile and military programs pose continued threats to the world's safety and security.
Meanwhile, Iran's Revolutionary Guards fired long-range ballistic missiles into the Indian Ocean on Saturday. Iran is holding a military exercise following Friday's testing of surface-to-surface ballistic missiles and locally manufactured new drones in the same area, according to state media reports. Saturday's drill targets were in the Gulf of Oman and the northern Indian Ocean. The United States on Friday designated 6 Chinese and Hong Kong officials for their role in implementing the national security law imposed in Hong Kong. Hong Kong authorities arrested more than 50 people who were trying to advance fair and open primary elections for Hong Kong's Legislative Council. 13 former Legislative Council members, an American lawyer and a former law professor were among those reportedly detained before being released on bail.
In Germany, 59-year-old Armin Laschet was elected as the new federal chairman of Germany's center-right Christian Democrat CDU. He was elected in a runoff against Friedrich Merz by 521 votes to 466. Laschet stands strongly for a continuation of Angela Merkel's course as the current German chancellor ends her term in the latter half of this year. The 51st edition of the International Film Festival of India, IFFI, got underway in Panaji, Goa this afternoon. The opening ceremony was held at Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium in the presence of Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar, Goa Chief Minister Dr. Pramod Sawant and Kannada film star Sudeep. This year, IFFI has been organized in a hybrid manner with physical and virtual components due to COVID-19 pandemic. Our correspondent reports that the 51st IFFI was inaugurated in a glittering ceremony at Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Stadium near Panaji, Goa. Union Minister of Information and Broadcasting Prakash Javadekar, Chief Minister of Goa Dr. Pramod Sawant and Chief Guest renowned Kannada actor Sudeep were present on the occasion.
High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, Mr. Mohammad Imran, said that apart from the recognition of the creativity and ingenuity of the filmmakers of Bangladesh, it is also a testimony of the depths of relations and the historic bind between the two neighboring countries.
We thank the Minister of Information and Broadcasting of Government of India for organizing this festival in this challenging time. It shows the commitment and courage you have to face and overcome the challenging situation, as well as your passion and love for arts and culture. We hope that the availability of vaccine that has been started today and other scientific innovations will help us to fight this menace of COVID-19 pandemic and will soon get back to normalcy.
Speaking on the occasion, Minister Javadekar said that India and Bangladesh are working together on a film on Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. The 51st edition of the International Film Festival of India, Goa, has conferred Shri Vishwadit Chatterjee, veteran actor, producer, director and singer of Hindi and Bengali cinema, with the Indian Personality of the Year award. The award has been announced at the opening ceremony of the festival by Union Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Shri Prakash Javadekar. Making the announcement, the Union Minister said that this award will be presented to him when National Film Awards are presented in March 2021.
Now, let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. New York Times has reported that 5 protesters from Hong Kong arrived in U.S. seeking asylum. Washington Post writes that U.S. troops in Afghanistan has been reduced to lowest level since 2001. The number of troops has come down to 2,500. Wall Street Journal has reported that China's property developers have huge international debts to refinance in 2021. According to Gulf News, Saudi women will soon be appointed as judges. Moscow Times writes that nearly half of Russian regions have limited access to coronavirus vaccines. Rio Times has reported that opposition parties have decided to lodge new motion for impeachment against Brazilian President Bolsonaro.
Moving on to sports. In cricket, India was 62 for 2 at stumps in reply to Australia's 369 in the first innings on the second day of the fourth and final test at the Gabba in Brisbane today. India lost both their openers early as they went to 2-62 for the loss of Shubman Gill and Rohit Sharma's wickets before heavy downpour stopped the play. Play will resume half an hour early tomorrow to make up for the lost overs. The Indian government has approved the appointment of Belarusian coach Nikolai Snartsev as the middle and long-distance coach of the Indian athletics team. The 72-year-old has been appointed till the end of September, a period which will coincide with the Tokyo Olympics, scheduled to take place in July to August of 2021.
United States has designated the United Arab Emirates and the Kingdom of Bahrain as major security partners. A statement from the White House said that it recognizes the exceptional security partnership and commitment of each country to countering violent extremism across the region. It added that the move reflects the extraordinary courage, determination and leadership of the two Arab nations in entering into the Abraham Accords.
Palestine's President Mahmoud Abbas on Friday announced the first Palestinian elections in more than 15 years. A presidential decree stated that region will launch a democratic election process in all cities of the homeland. The region refers to the West Bank, Gaza and East Jerusalem. The parliamentary elections will be held on the 22nd of May, followed by a presidential vote on the 31st of July. The voters would go to polls once again on the 31st of August to elect the National Council of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which represents Palestinians internationally.
Yoweri Museveni, the sitting president of Uganda, was re-elected as the president on Saturday. He got 58% of the vote, while his main competition, singer-turned-lawmaker Bobi Wine, trailed with 34% votes amidst allegations of widespread fraud in the elections. In a tweet, Assistant Secretary for U.S. State African Bureau, Mr. Tibor Nagy, said that they are deeply troubled by the persistent reports of fraud in Uganda's January 14th elections. It added that the Ugandan authorities' denial of accreditation to election observers, violence and harassment of opposition figures and the arrest of CSO members makes the electoral process fundamentally flawed.
Now a quick look at the headlines once again. World's largest COVID-19 vaccination rolled out in India by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Russia to restart flights between Moscow and New Delhi from January 27th. Armin Laschet elected as the new chairman of Germany's ruling Christian Democratic Party. 51st edition of International Film Festival of India begins in Goa, India and Bangladesh to jointly produce a movie Bangabandhu. And in cricket, India was 62 for 2 at stumps on the second day of the fourth test against Australia in Brisbane. India is celebrating the 151st birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. Before we end, let's listen to his favorite bhajan, Vaishnava Jan, by artists from Bangladesh.
वैष्णव जन को तेने कहे
And with that, we end this bulletin. See you at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.